When the pressure is high and the energy low, that's when your business needs inspiration to change and to grow. It's also when true captains show up. Hi, I'm Mark Francis, and I'm the host of this podcast that invites industry leaders from all over the world to answer the question, who's your captain? When you need to motivate and to mobilize, to develop and enable your team. Whether you are new to being a leader or you aspire to be a captain, this podcast is for you. So welcome everybody to Who's Your Captain? I'm Mark Francis. I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome today Dr. Muddassir Ahmed. Muddassir, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Well, the reason I'm excited is because your voice, you're an influencer, supply chain influencer, and have been for about 10 years globally. So I'd love to investigate how do you get your message across to so many people out there, but also how do you lead? And as a CEO of your business, SCMDOJO, how are you leading? And just to set us up, just to give us some context here, tell us a little bit about SCMDOJO.
So SCMDOJO is supply chain management. Dojo is a Japanese word which means a place to stand meditate. So I think to understand, SCMDOJO itself right now is one of the biggest library of content. We have developed the world's largest supply chain academy. We have already published 76 courses from 23 different experts. I am one of them. We have 40 plus best practices, ebooks. We have published more than 400 blogs, 500, 700 videos. So when it comes to the body of knowledge and content, we are definitely one of the leading ones in the world right now. The message is simple, which is we help supply chain thrive, right? So if you for example in the words of Ninja Turtle, so if you are a Ninja Turtle, we are Master Shifu. We are here to help you, guide you to fight against the evil to win the war.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And the beauty is that you're one of those experts who are leading training within your platform. But just to give us a flavor on this, how many members do you have with SCMDOJO?
So we got about just about 18,000 members, right? And about 657 are our regular paying members. I think 5,700 have done business with us, either buying individual courses, best practices, and then we offer free courses as well. And most of as you can assume, freemium model, most of our use a freemium model. And once they see value, they end up, either subscribing to us. But I think to understand the mission and vision is to basically understand the problem statement which leads to the starting of SCMDOJO, which leads to building the community. I think it will all make sense. So I'm by profession, I'm a practitioner. So I'm not like a media guy. I'm not somebody who said, okay, supply chain is a field, let's make content. Not at all. I'm a self-taught marketer. I've learned everything by myself when it's come to how to make YouTube videos, how to write SEO content, and now AEOs and GEOs. So I was working, I did my master's, I did my engineering, then master's in supply chain production management, then PhD in supply chain. I started working for an industry called, a company called Eaton. I worked with them 12 years and I've literally started from the bottom as a buyer. And my last job was a divisional supply chain head for a $700 million business. And I was managing Romania, China, Germany, France. So it's a pretty global role. I really enjoyed that. So one of the things I've noticed even in that job was that most of the people who end up in supply chain do not have a supply chain degree, right? They have basically maybe good in maths or following SOP, and then managers say, oh, why don't you come in supply chain? Just do that. So because the body of knowledge was not established. Then one of my bosses moved to Middle East as a head, it's a GM. Then I went with him as a head of planning and logistics for Middle East and Africa. Again, I have 54 countries. I have very diversified team from Philippines, India, from Morocco, Tunisia, Japanese, of course, Indians and Pakistanis, very diversified. And same thing, right? I put a poll out on LinkedIn saying, are you end up in supply chain by choice or by luck? And 67% people I've said by luck right now.
Yeah, two out of three.
The issue with that was most of the people who work for me, very diligent people, hardworking, honest people. And if you give them, guide them, coach them, this is the process you follow, they're pretty good at it. But the issue was supply chain is a very dynamic field. COVID was happening and changes are all over. You got to be innovative, creative to find a solution, right? And change your SOPs accordingly. The reason they weren't able to do that because they do not have the theoretical knowledge. I don't want to get technical, but supply chain, even people think it's common sense, but not really. There's a huge body of sourcing, procurement, supplier relationship management, contract management. If you move to planning, you have to understand MRP, sales and operations planning process, your capacity planning, production scheduling. If you think of logistics, you talk about warehouse design, machine, network design, 3PL. It's complicated stuff, right? So you have to know the theory. Now, so we know there's a lack of theoretical knowledge, but how you give them? Okay, this is where the problem started, right? If you think the conventional body of accreditation like CSCP, Apex, or in UK SIPS, Chartered Institute of Purchasing Supply, pretty
Yeah.
established, started
Yeah.
in 1907, more than 100 years ago. Apex started in 1957, more than 60 years ago, 70 years ago. They're very expensive. To train one person, it's got $3,500 just to get books, and I said, this is ridiculous. So it's a time right now to democratize using the digitalization. So I become a fan of digitalization, and especially in supply chain. So if you Google about me, it says I'm a evangelist of that. And because I believe digitalization is a space to go. Internet was there. So COVID happened. I started teaching people online. I made money, and I got some, and I was start publishing a lot of content. So this is first problem. The second thing I learned, this is how you build community. You talk about 80,000 people.
Yes, totally.
So if you want to build community, it's very simple. You have to create content. And there's three types of content people want to consume. Either it's entertainment, infotainment, or information, or sexy stuff, right? I couldn't do entertainment or couldn't do sexy stuff. Then I left with, information, right?
I love
So start sharing people how to solve inventory problems, demand planning problems, or career problems. And I started getting, and was doing in a practical way, right? So one of my strengths is that I can take a very complicated problem and explain it in a very simple way. That's what research basically teaches you. So I get a community, and then after that, I was getting invitation from a lot of conferences, start meeting a lot of smart people like yourself, because you are a very good, for example, I can already tell you have a very good understanding of leadership models.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
lead people? And I can ask you, Mark, why don't you come in and make a course of how to make what are the qualities of good leader? And you would say, yeah, why not, mate? Let's do that. 1 hour course, no problem. And I would say, okay, I'll get you a lot of, I've got a lot of following. I seem to do a lot of, visitors, 45,000 people. I'll get you some, branding out there. So I start collaborating with people. So end up making huge amount of courses, become a marketplace. Some are paid, some are free there's a revenue sharing model. And so that is the first part why SCMDOJO happened and what we're doing. So basically, we got a membership of as cheap as $99. And in fact, we have implemented a thing called price parity, right? So price parity is economic content where if you are, for example, if the course in US is $99, if you're in India or maybe Philippines, the price, you will not see $99 a membership. You'll see much less. You probably see $52 or whatever. And there's a software program who does it. So basically making our full academy available to anywhere in the world, not for $3,500, in fact, $99 or less.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a brilliant model. I also love your energy, Muddassir, because as you say, your background as a practitioner, you've been head of supply chain, major global business, and also you have the theory as well. So you've got a PhD in business, and so I like that, love that combination actually. Plus, there's this breadth. So I've gone on to watch some of your courses, and you're exactly right. They are super clear and simple for someone who's not got a supply chain background. But it's the breadth of courses available that you offer. The fact that you've got multiple experts as well. So there's your good self, but there's many different experts who are on those channels, sharing their knowledge, sharing their training with everyone. So it's a fabulous model. And as you say, very accessible. So the price point is very easy for an individual to say, I'm in here. Help me understand the pivot. And I call you the captain of pivot because you embraced COVID. Your start on this lovely journey was about 2015, I remember, which is you were a blogger. Then that voice was heard by many people, and they said, come and speak on stages. So you became this influencer. And then COVID hit. So how did you pivot the business to a COVID-friendly world?
First of all, Mark, I'm really impressed by you based on your research, because I have been invited into quite a lot of vlogs, but you are the only one who factually done the homework and get the facts right. So super impressed.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much for this research.
Thank you.
Right. So, I mean, it shows that how dedicated you are for this podcast, that you just don't
Thank
randomly,
you.
I mean, you do your homework, right? And anybody who does homework, I have a lot of respect for that. That just shows sincerity and sincerity to the work. So thank you for this. Now, so my PhD finished on 18th of July 2015. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know anything about blogging, but I know I have to. So generally what happened when you do PhD research, you have to write research papers. So I've written 2 research papers. Research paper is a lengthy thing. I'm a
Hmm.
father. I was at that point 2 young kids. I have a full-time job, but I need to get my knowledge out. So then I come across this concept of blog, and I literally bought $9. It was Muddassir my name, actually, domain, which gives you a few free WordPress blogs. I watch YouTube videos. I had a friend who's now CTO. He made me a free, what do you call it, web page, and we just start posting. I mean, no graphics, nothing, just simple content, right? And I start posting on LinkedIn same amount of time. So 15 to 18, nothing but just give value,
Yeah.
provide
Yeah.
value. But a lot of people know that. But the difference is you have to provide value consistently over the long period of time, over a very long period of time. And this is where people fails, right? Because they start, oh, let's start a podcast, let's start a video, let's start a blog. They write 5 blogs or 3 videos and maybe 10, and then they give up because they don't see impressions. I mean, if you are into quick win business, I mean, you're not going to win it. As I think uh, Messi said after winning the World Cup, it took me 18 years to, get overnight success, right? So it just takes time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so coming back to pivot, so blog was good. I was start getting recognized, and then 2019, my sister had an accident, terrible, life-threatening accident. I was in Karachi. I was doing the night shift in the hospital. So when somebody of your family in the
Wow.
hospital,
Yeah. Yeah.
like my mother and my father was doing day shift, and I was sitting night shift. And I used to have a cousin. His name is Hassan, second cousin. He was a video producer, right? A news producer on a channel. And he said, you talk some good rubbish. Why don't you start doing videos? That's like, mate, I don't know even
Only
how.
family members could give that
Yeah,
feedback, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. He said, you could talk some good rubbish. Why didn't you make some videos? That's like, I don't even know what to. He said, easy. Just sit down on a sofa, put your camera. I'll give you a mic you can buy from Amazon, and you just send it to me. I'll do the edit. Right? Okay. Okay, fine. So did that. If you see our first video, which was on four pillars of supply chain planning, it's so rubbish. I am so rubbish. But the thing is, you have to start from so rubbish to get to the point that it gets only better. Now, so video is out. I was getting invitation to the conferences, so making a lot of good network, meeting people, smart people like yourself. COVID hit. Nobody can do anything. So then we start this thing of let's do online coaching. Start SNOP course. Again, $99, 2 hours. I'll teach you how to do
Smart.
SNOP inventory management. And at that point, online learning have taken a really steep curve. If you think an example of that, and which will just remember what I'm about to say, because it will lead to the third pivot. So Byju's, which was it's like an online platform in India, worth 1.2 billion, right, at that
Yeah, I
point,
know.
right? So online learning was growing, and in fact, TikTok took off during COVID, right? Because people start making TikTok sitting at home. I was even watching this guy who is Italian, say from Senegal. He's very famous TikToker, the most followed person. He started in COVID when he lose the job. So people were watching. So people watching our videos. So our YouTube channel kicked off. People watching my lot of videos. We're doing courses. We're training people. We made money. I made $23,000 just by
Wow,
sitting at
good
home.
for you. Yeah,
And I was
amazing.
like, man, that's good money. But that was maybe a success of very unrealistic circumstances, or COVID,
Unusual,
what
very unusual.
unusual, and not unrealistic, unusual circumstances, right? Because sitting at home, they want to learn. A lot of people have lost jobs, so they want to upskill themselves. Um, but one thing it was proven, there is definitely, when you talk about entrepreneurship, I want to be entrepreneur myself. This whole thing called product market fit. right? So it was somehow a proven evidence that if people wants to learn, they want to upskill themselves, and they will pay for digital content. So I come up with this concept of uh, digital product, meaning that we not just so course is one digital product. Maybe I have made very nice Excel dashboards. I have written a book on how to maintain your Excel obsolete. It's a digital product, right? You can pay online, you can pay. So I come across this website called Gumroad. So Gumroad make it easy. You don't need to have your
I know it.
payment.
Yeah, they're Northern Californian based, Gumroad. I know them.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy, his name is Sahil. I followed him on Twitter, which leads me to do that. So for me, great. So you upload your ebook or your course, and you just it's a link which you can share on social media, newsletter, it's anywhere. People click on the link and they just buy it through PayPal and Stripe, and great. So that means we pivot. So move from the blog to literally selling online courses on our blog. Then one of my friends said, "Oh, I want to help you and I want to be part of this journey with you, like an expert, but it's your name, why don't you change the name?" So it's gone from Muddassir to SCMDOJO. Because I was working for a Japanese company, I'm very fascinated by Japanese culture and discipline and all that, which influence SCMDOJO and the branding of SCMDOJO quite a lot, and which leads to the third pivot. I think we will come to this. So
This is
uh,
fantastic,
I've got the
Muddassir.
esteem dojo, and no, but to finish the story, it's how it become a business,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's the very important part. So I know there's opportunity, I know there's a need, but I cannot. I was a head of planning logistics. I have a very good job. I was highly paid. I was living in Dubai
With a young family.
with a young family. I bought a house, which I have to pay a lot of money of plan. My expenses were like, how can you leave all that and become entrepreneur, right? So I have to pay the UK mortgage as well at the same time, right? So I said to my wife, let's pay the UK mortgage, reduce the expenses. And the plan was to save enough money for 1 year and then leave the job. So it took me 2021 October to execute that plan. But before that, I have changed my brand, launched the academy, start collaborating with people. So I have paid people like Marina from Ukraine and Paul from Denmark, which I met in conferences in Ukraine as well. I paid the flight. I said, I'm going to pay you whatever money I'm going to pay you. Come to Dubai. I'm going to record courses. So I hired a full-time coder for the website. I've hired a full-time video editor. My cousin who was told me
This is
make videos.
really cool. It's
So
really cool.
they were our first employee. So I was still full-time employee. I opened the company, registered, start work operating. I didn't hide anything from my boss. He knew where I was going. He offered me the job to go to Brussels at that point, right? I said, I don't want to go to Brussels. I want to live in Dubai. And I said, what is my worst case scenario? I do this for 1 year. I have 1 year money to live. If I fail, I fail. I can always go back to corporate world, right? And I will get a job. Maybe not as good, but I'll get a job. I know enough people. And it's been 4 years now.
Yeah, there's so many things I'm going to pick up on here, Muddassir, that one of them is your energy, right? Which is, I'm going to do this. The entrepreneurial spirit that says, yes, I've got a full-time job and high costs and a young family, and I've just moved to Dubai and I've got costs coming out of my ears, but I still have the belief in myself and in the need that I've found. There's a gap in the market here for supply chain orientated education, digitalized, and I just need to commercialize it. So that's an energy, that's a self-belief, simply vital if you're going to go down this route. And then obviously support from the family. And then also, which is crucial here, it's I'm going to enlist support from people who can help, whether that's fellow experts in supply chain or whether it's people who can code for me and set this up and make sure that the education films are great. So you are by energy, a pivoter, you outside influence, you go, right, okay, what do we do with this unusual situation? Now, the big pivot next has to be, and I think it's true for all of us, is why it's a fascinating question, is AI. Because as an educator myself, AI changes a lot. Why would you pay for Mark Francis to come in and coach you if you just ask ChatGPT? Coach me on this topic, and boom, you don't need Mark Francis, right? So how do you as SCMDOJO, how do you manage the pivot that's essential now that AI might just do everything you're doing at a flick of a switch? How do you manage that pivot?
So AI, I think anybody who's in 40s like us, right, or more than 40s, I
Thank
think
you.
lived in a very important era of the human history, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember we had this VCR, cassette VCR, and my grandma used to say, go and play the play button, right? Like a remote control, right? I remember being kid and we did not even have a telephone. So my mother used to go to the neighbors and pick up the phone call if coming
Was
from
this in
outside.
Karachi?
In Karachi, yeah. So we didn't
Yeah,
even have
lovely,
phone.
lovely.
And so we got the analog TV or the phone, right? Then I've grown up. I did not even have a laptop until I started my job, right? So it's working on a friend's computer or somewhere else. Then I got the mobile and then the first BlackBerry. I think I even had it here somewhere, right? I was showing the
That's
other day to
fabulous.
few people,
You've
right?
got it.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
I'll definitely have it here. So then from the BlackBerry phones and stuff, the internet happened. We have seen the financial crisis in 2008 and 9, which happens once in 100 years. We've also seen pandemic, which happens in once in 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the only thing we probably have not seen, which is a historic movement, is a world war, right? I hope I don't see before I die, right? Yeah, let's fingers crossed. But
Yeah.
I think there's some political leaders who are making sure it happens, but I hope they won't. And then so electricity was invented. After that, which was Industrial Revolution 1.0, internet comes in, Industrial Revolution 2.0, AI is as big as change as electricity and internet, right? It
That's
is
my feeling.
Industrial Revolution 3.0. There will not be an aspect of your life and your business which will be without AI in less than 2 years' time. It will exist in some shape or form. It will not be just a chat GPT or Gemini or Copilot on your app. It won't be. Everything we do will be around that. The creative content will change. The how business, how they do is change. Everything gonna change. So rather than getting scared and think it's not going to be there, I think it's a bad idea. The good idea here is to get used to it, understand it, adopt it, pivot it, change it, use it for the betterment. It's a tool, right? The theory is it will replace jobs. Of course, if it is any job can be repetitive and mundane, can be replaced with AI, can be replaced with AI. But can the AI will come in and use the Tesla cyber cop to replace your plumber? Not really, right? Okay. Would it in fact obsolete the teacher? Definitely not, because you need a teacher in the class to get in touch with people, right? So but it's definitely gonna increase the availability of information. So that's what has happened. So now the challenge for us was, so we started SCMDOJO Academy when the learning content or online learning content was on the rise. Yeah. November 2023, ChatGPT comes in, gone viral, right? Models has improved. 2025, where it got, let's call it, mass embraced. And we have seen decline in our academy, people signing up. That's true. We
Yeah.
have seen
Yeah.
it, right? The example of that is Udemy and Coursera existed, right, in a two separate layers. So Coursera, one of the biggest online academy, right? They have a collaboration with universities, big brands, whatever. Udemy, anybody can launch. I have my course on Udemy as well. But they were forced to even merge because they know there's a problem, like LinkedIn Learning and all that. So an example of that, the Byju's, which I gave an example, which was more than $1 billion, now it's bankrupt. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Goldman Sachs or one of the biggest investors had written off $300 million as an investment. They've
Wow.
written it off.
Yeah. Wow.
So the model is changing. So we have to do something. We have to do the third pivot now. So blog to academy, now third pivot. So what we did was, I started learning about AI. Okay, let's learn, right? More to that. So what does LLM means? What does machine learning means? What is the difference between generative AI and agentic AI? What is RAG, which is, retrieval augmented generation system? So really start.
Yep.
The good thing about engineer is, I think I recommend everybody to do first degree as engineering, if anybody could, right? It gives you a logical thought process, right? It's in terms of learning. Then I realized that if you ask a question to both ChatGPT and Gemini, or tell me about demand forecasting, it's going to give you some information, right?
Yeah.
And tell me a demand forecasting information in petrochemical, it will still going to give you some generic. They are not trained on vertical specific or process oriented content, right? Therefore, they hallucinate. They almost make you look like they're giving the right answer, but actually they're not.
So they're giving a surface answer, aren't they? They're not giving the depth.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So probably, and there's also an important part is how they got trained, because they essentially got trained, right? That's what large language model do. So ChatGPT Gemini is trained on ChatGPT mostly trained on Reddit data. Reddit data is rubbish. Gemini is
But
good,
the key question for me, could they just go to your academy? Could they almost like sign up with a bot and then just take all of your excellent educational information?
No, they can't, right? Because it's behind the wall, right? It's behind the paid wall, and they
Protected.
can't. So what we did was, so we have all the courses, all our best practices. We created a knowledge library, and we have used the LLM model to train our own AI. So now we are creating, we call it SCMDOJO Sensei. Again, another Japanese term.
Japanese
Sensei
word,
is,
sensei, like
yeah,
the mentor.
mentor. So it's a AI supply chain consultant. So what consultant do? Consultant comes in and you ask difficult questions, they give you answers of the problem you don't know. So our answers are embedded in the body of SCMDOJO. Second thing, they do diagnostics. So for example, you want to improve your procurement processes or RFP or RFQ, whatever technical. So you can literally type in and it will create the full diagnostics, right? It's called vibe coding. You can take the diagnostics, it will give you the spider chart, it will give you recommendation, risk, and the full plan. So you can implement yourself. You don't have to hire a consultant. Furthermore, you can execute workflows. So for example, if you want to go and take a quotation, you want to hire a digital marketing agency, for example, and you don't know how to create the RFQ, a quotation document to get the quotation, you literally go in and type, can you help me create a marketing RFQ to hire an agency? It will do that, right? It will, can you find me a supplier? It will also do that. It will send them a quote, receive the quotes, compare the quotes, and tell you, use this. So initially, you used to hire a consultant or agency to do it. Our chatbot can do it straight in. And in fact, you can drop in the Excel file, which was the most difficult. Actually, sounds simple, but it's not, because LLMs are very good in creation of text format, 1 zeros. They're not very good in maths. For maths, you have to hire special agents to do any kind of analysis, especially I don't want to get technical, means you need to know how to do Excel file schematic mapping, right? But this is the most complicated R&D work we are doing. It is done now, should be testing next week. So now we are almost pivoting. We still have an academy, right? But now we are launching this AI Sensei, which will be available to anybody who can subscribe courses and use it.
Yeah, I mean, well done. And it's interesting because I think there's a sequence that you are following, Muddassir, which I think is relevant to everybody. And the sequence is, first of all, recognize there's a change.
Yes.
So obviously AI, it's not difficult to recognize it, but you need to.
Yeah.
You then have to be proactive, and you were, which is almost educate yourself. Right. Let me fully understand this new thing that I need to pivot to and implications for me. Then go into some sort of design that says, okay, how can I embrace this new entity and make it my own? And then you complete that design, which is this point about AI Sensei. And so you have your own chat GPT in a way. You're the supply chain expert consultant. AI. Really cool. Really, really cool. So the other key aspect of this is proactiveness. You know what I mean? It's so easy. And I think most human beings, including myself, you go, I'm going to have to embrace AI when I'm finally forced to. You know, it's like, I've got no option. I've got to use. And, at my age and stage, because I'm not in my 40s, you very kindly said we might be in the same decade, is that you have to. And if you're not proactive, it's pure pain. There's no pivot. And then, as you said, some examples of big businesses that just crash because they're not proactive, they don't self-educate, and they don't bring an entrepreneurial spirit, which you do. Now, how are you going to monetize it? What's your strategy to say, listen, we've got a great AI-based solution.
Yeah.
How do you get that message out there?
So the AI cost is a lot. Even though getting commoditized and data science are expensive, right? Every prompt you write or anything you want to do, you ask AI to do, agents to do, not just generative AI. It consumes tokens, right? Which is think about it, credits, right? So anything we are coding, and we want people to give it to free. I wish I could do everything for free in my life, right? And somehow make money. Unfortunately, the economic world, since the exchange of gold, right, or barter, it doesn't work like that. You have to give something to take something, right? And then to consume tokens, I think it's fascinating how there's a danger of lack of critical thinking. Human being can become lack of critical thinking, right? And you almost have to know that you do not outsource your all critical thinking to AI. There's a danger. I believe there's a danger, right? So let me give you an example. So typically what happened is, I'm going to answer your question, but what we are doing right now, I never heard this idea. So I hope what I'm about to tell you is innovative. I hope. So you go to the any website, right? And they say, oh, you can use this for free courses or free software for some functionalities. If you want to pay me $99, you can use more functionalities and more. Yeah. And then if you want to be enterprise, you have to do this. So yeah, we have done the same. So for free courses, if you want 50 courses, you pay $19. If you want all 76 courses plus all the best practices, $99, so on and so forth. But we don't know where the buyer actually sees the value to think enough that I have seen enough value that to use more, I have to pay. We don't know this buying intent, right?
No,
You
exactly.
understand the question I'm about putting in forward? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do you search that out? So what we, in fact, written a code with AI that we will give access to ask module or analyze module or diagnostics module for free. And when it will do certain things, it will generate
So freemium again. It's freemium again, isn't it?
It's freemium
the
again.
idea.
But the decision of when to show the payment gateway, we have left AI to decide based on the buying intent.
Yeah, so cool. It's so cool. You're the second person I've spoken to this week that said, I'm using AI to do my coding. And that's really smart. I totally get that. You know, he said, I used to have a coder that I used to employ, and now I use AI to do my coding. So, wow.
Not just coding. I think what unique I'm telling you is a decision to understand the buying intent and to show the payment gateway.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. How do we now commercialize this AI? That's the question, isn't it? It's like,
so once we know the buying intent, then the payment gateway will come. It say, pay me $79 per month, and you will have access to everything. That's it.
It's very cool, Muddassir, because the first time we spoke, you gave me advice about how I can improve my communication to my audience, which was hugely valuable. I am going to do it. So real value, as you say, bring value. This is another one actually, which is how do I? So I've got some learning products, nowhere near on the scale of SCMDOJO, but I have some learning products which are digital. And in my head, I'm going, how do I commercialize that? How do I get the message out? How do I get people to buy it? And so this idea of, when is the buying moment, and how is I will ask AI in some way. I might have to ask AI Sensei actually. Really, really cool. What do you think is your biggest challenge now as a business? Because you're ahead of the game here. You're proactively embracing AI. What's your biggest challenge now going forward as SCMDOJO?
I think the biggest challenge is the change management of the user behavior. So there's two kinds of innovation, right? When we are studying, is a market-driven product development and the technology-driven product development. A simple example of that is you need a tire. Somebody made a tire, and you drive a car. Nobody knew people needed the iPhone unless iPhone was invented by Steve Jobs, right? Okay. Now they sell 2 million of them or whatever, right? So he did manage to change the human behavior, right? Okay. I think the supply chain community, and I get from my mentors and friends, in fact, from my family as well, I get huge criticism, I personally, that your brain is wasted in supply chain. You should be doing something which is for not 8 million or 50, I think there's a 8 million number on LinkedIn of linked supply chain people. You should be reaching out to 80 million or 800 million problem, right? I think they do have a, I think they do have a point, because the supply chain people, by nature of it, they are back office and not really
Less
open,
entrepreneurial, probably, isn't it?
less
It's
entrepreneurial,
probably not entrepreneurial.
operative.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, they are busy fools with the hero syndrome, which I think is the best way to describe. Right?
Which is you, by the way. That's the
Yeah,
criticism of you as a supply chain guy, right?
yeah, yeah. So busy fool as a hero syndrome. So hero syndrome means I don't need anybody's support. If I had a month end and I ship everything, I'm gonna solve every problem because then I become a hero. No, stupid. You can use problem solving tools to make it easier. So it's difficult for them to convince because they're too busy fools with the hero syndrome, right? So I think the challenge here for me is not the reach. I have a reach. Is how to coach them, teach them, make your life easier. Your job will not be replaced. Uh, Use AI to become more productive and add more value for your own life, right? And your for
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And for your own business, as it's expanding and developing that entrepreneurial spirit, what will it look like? What will a derivation of SCM Dojo look like in, I'm going to say 3 years, because I don't want to be too far
Yeah.
out, because I think there's so much change happening. In 3 years, give me a flavor for how your business will look.
Very, very good questions. And actually, I'm going to give you my vision, and given you are a business mentor leader, and give me a feedback. And I've noticed the way you are conducting interview, you're very good in summarizing. You're a very good listener and for absorbing them. So again, my second compliment to you today on I
Thank
do
you.
my podcast as well. I think a very good skill for summarizing it. So give me feedback. So my
Thank you.
vision is following. Uh, One thing which I've noticed in digital marketing and in computer science is, so I was hiring a digital marketer and I see the CV, and CVs was coming in, young people with bachelor's and master's in business or whatever. And they have this, I'm a Meta certified digital marketer. I'm
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Google certified digital marketer. I'm a HubSpot certified inbound marketer. And my friend was a pharmacist, and I met him after a few years, and he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I've done Cisco certification. I'm a network engineer." Like, what the fuck? I'm like, seriously? You're a pharmacist, become a network engineer. How? He said, "I did a Cisco certification." So you can see in these four examples, they're essentially a technology brands who has created a certification program which becomes an industry standard qualification to get better jobs, right? So that's the example I
Yeah, it
saw.
doesn't make you a change agent.
Yeah. Now, but the thing is, in supply chain, we don't have that. We got more than 1,000 companies in supply chain with supply chain brands. 1,000. Not one have a certification program. Maybe Connexes have. So I come up with this theory. I'm start reaching out to leaders, and I'm successful. I've closed my deal. Thanks God, touch wood yesterday. There's a company called Project 44. They have a more than $1 billion investment. They have a $200 million sales. They make visibility software and they do decision intelligence. They go into AI. So I float the idea to CEO randomly on LinkedIn. I helped him out with something. So I know he's going to respond to me because I helped him out. I
Value, bring value
provided the
first.
value. Yes, I provided him the value for free. So I know he owe me a favor. So he's going to reply my message. I said, you know what? You're doing something great. I saw your recent video. Why don't you come to my podcast? Come to my podcast. Interviewed him. Really promoted him. Even more happy. Then I had this vision of, I'm going to offer him, why don't we create courses of the innovation you are doing, which is intelligent decision making using AI in logistics. And we launch as a program.
Cool, very cool.
Then I send him the email. Now I have this email. Send the email. He forwarded to his marketing director, named Brian, and Brian bought it. So
No
Brian is saying,
surprise.
let's create courses together. So my first vision is I want to collaborate with one of the biggest brand in logistics or supply chain or procurement, whatever. So make my academy, which it is right now very theoretical, to very practical and software or any product in technology. So first thing.
So it broadens the scope and impact, like your friends and family are saying. Don't just restrict to 80 million. Let's go bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one. It will give me a separate revenue stream as well, because they have to pay me to create courses with them. So I'm providing the value. And they can access. So benefits are for them. They have me to create courses which they don't know how to do it, right? They can access to 300,000 people supply chain community which they don't have, right? They create a certification program, right, which gonna engage the existing customers and probably give them new customers, right? So it's value exchange both ways massively. And surprisingly, these courses will be free. Believe me or not, right? Now, the second innovation is we will create Sensei, the biggest bird of knowledge. So we have the most intelligent systems available. I think all businesses eventually gonna have chatbots which will link with their enterprise data, right? But so let's
Seems
take
reasonable.
example Unilever, right? Or Eaton I used to work for, massive company, $20
Massive.
billion, FTSE 500, Fortune 500, whatever. They would be very worried to use AI off the shelf access. So what they want ChatGPT model to do, or maybe Llama or whatever, to use the enterprise data, ERP data, all the knowledge they have, and can use it to create business specific RFQs, document, SOPs, analysis, whatever, dashboards, right? Great. I know it will happen. People are thinking about it. Okay. But what I'm going to offer to them, okay, once you get those chatbots, why don't you use SCMDOJO API to make your own knowledge even more smarter? Right? So we have this API. We've created the biggest library of supply chain content. We have the engine of we have the best AI supply chain consultant, right? We have the repository of that, which ChatGPT don't have, right? Which actually Gemini don't have, right? So we have that, and I can give you this access through the API, right?
And so tell me how that links to certification, because I like this concept of a certification, right? So proof that you
won't
are.
link to it's got nothing to do with certification. See, the thing is,
so because you
content was
mentioned that
king.
earlier, and where's the link?
Yeah. So content was king. We become blogger and video content creator because we have knowledge to share, right? ChatGPT came in, disrupted the whole thing, right? And we thought, oh, we are useless because anybody can write as good as a blog with ChatGPT and that. Okay. But it doesn't, right? Because of the hallucination, because it does not have the data to do so. Right?
Top level, not deep.
Yeah. So there's a thing called in AI called tagging, meta, right? In fact, I recently learned a thing it's called chunking, right? So let me give you an example of what chunking is. Yeah. So all the discussion we have, you have got some new knowledge from me, right? Assumingly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We can record that, and you can load this conversation to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to write me a blog. It will do it.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yes.
But the thing is, to use this script of this conversation to train any AI model, you have to do chunking to feed that back to the LLM model. That is
so it has to have the main messages that it understands to be able to do a blog properly.
AI will only get smarter by training the models.
Yeah. I hear that. Right? Yeah, that makes loads of sense to
me. What I am saying is, I'm still in the training business, but not humans, AI.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get your vision. I get it. Yeah, I mean, my feedback is definitely yes, because I call myself a bit of a Luddite, someone who's behind the 8 ball in terms of technology. However, I totally get this point that says to use AI properly, you have to educate it. You have to, so the more I use ChatGPT, the more it knows about me. And it says, well, you've written a book recently, and as a result of that, you should be doing this. And it's my responsibility to educate AI rather than the other way around. Big point. This is fascinating, Muddassir. As I come towards the end of the podcast, I'd like to ask you a couple more questions. What's the big pivot that's next? If AI is the big one now and you're embracing it proactively, what could the next big one be? And we're now spitballing, aren't we?
I
If
think
this is the third revolution, what's the
so you
fourth?
heard about agents, right? AI
Yeah.
agents,
Yeah.
right? So there's a term which is being thrown around in the Silicon Valley and some circles called multi-agentic orchestration, right? So let me break it down for you, right? What is in a simple terms rather than complicated AI stuff. So the difference between Gen AI and agentic AI is Gen AI means generative. It can create text, pictures, videos,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
you need to do input. You have to ask something to get something. Agents are self-managed. They can take action, but they need a brain. They don't have a brain. They're almost like a worker, right?
Hmm.
In a strange example. So again, as an input, you write, I want you to do this, maybe. But the thing is, if you take the agent and link it with the generative AI LLM model, that means there's a brain attached to it, right? Okay. So for example, you can write an agent and you can say, once somebody sign up to my newsletter, right? Go and check their LinkedIn profile with their name and email. If you
Oh
find
yeah, I'm
it,
liking this. I'm
right? If you
liking
find
this.
it, for example, right, take the email and send them a thank you message, which is customized to their profile. So not just regular
Yeah, so
standard
good.
message,
Yeah.
right? So that is an example of the agentic, right? So it's using LLM to do something for you. Now, this is one agent, an example of one agent. So now I'm going to move to multi-agentic. So multi-agent means there's one agent sending them email to say, thank you well for joining. Then there is a second agent which says, okay, start showing them my other content on web pages or maybe ad pages. So these two agents are working together, right? You are still sitting in the background. You're not doing nothing. You just train the two agents, right? Write them a copy, which is linked to the profile. Send them a cold email every 3 days. I used to send emails, or my people used to send cold emails. Nobody sent cold emails humanly. I've got agents working, sending cold emails with 3 different messages, customized to the
That's
profile I'm
incredible.
sending to.
It's incredible. I
So
love
now,
this because
so if
I
they are
can see the
working,
value for me. This would really help.
exactly,
As a
exactly.
sales
So
guy, this is helping that journey.
exactly. So multi-agentic orchestration means how you put together different agents to work together to get the required output. And I think that will really gonna change how business will happen.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Final question for you, Muddassir. Final question. What's your top tip? And I've called you earlier on Captain Pivot because you've had to and you're good at it. You're smart and proactive. What's your top tip for anyone that is requiring their business to pivot? So that could be anything to do with AI, but it could be other things that are forcing a pivot. Well, there could be the tariffs that are coming out of the US as an example, forcing a pivot. What's your top tip for anyone who has to manage a pivot like that?
Self-learning. I think that's the only way. Self-learning, learn fast, fail fast. Because what I've noticed is people get to the point, I become a director or I become a manager. I've achieved a status of some level. I become an entrepreneur, started 4 years gone by. The world is changed. The only change is constant is the only change in constant is change, right? Everything is a change. People stop reading. They don't, they're just scrolling content based on their habits. You can go and change your habit of scrolling by asking, okay, show me more videos of AI or sales or whatever, right? Is this continuous habit of learning is important. If you see all the successful people, they read a lot, right? Okay. They don't have time for reading, you start listening podcast. Fine, great. You go for a run, listen something, watch YouTube videos. Is this continuous? Because once you get to, okay, maybe not young people, but people of our age, more interested in politics, more interested in the drawing room, whatever rubbish. I don't do any of that. And the second thing I would say is the bigger problem right now is not knowing what to do. There's too much options. There's far too
Yeah.
many options,
Yeah,
right?
I
If you
call it in my book, I call it, you should thin slice, because
yes,
if you don't thin slice, you're going to be overwhelmed by information, data,
yeah.
your iPhone bleeping. Thin slice, exactly the point.
So you need to become very good into deciding which of the options not to do, not to take, and which one to take, and fully commit to it.
Love that. It's brilliant advice. So it's two really: self-learning and be really focused on a smart option rather than trying to overload your brain with
No, but the thing
too
is, you
many
don't know
options.
the smart option. At the time you're deciding, you think is a smart option. But once you execute, you think it's not a smart option, right? So what else how quickly you can pivot? So you think
decide, do it,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
pivot.
yeah.
It's brilliant, Muddassir. Thank you so much. I'm going to call you Captain Pivot. Dr. Muddassir Ahmed, thank you so much for being on this
Thank you for having
podcast.
me. It's been
Awesome.
lovely talking to you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.